This is the Yoga and Black podcast, and I'm super glad that you're here. What this show is all about is showcasing Black yoga and wellness professionals from around the world in an attempt to increase more representation in the yoga space and the wellness space. I'm Tierney. I too am a yoga instructor, and I felt a need to not only give you a list of different yoga instructors, but let you get to know them on a more personal basis. So not only is this a chance for me to get to know my peers, this is for you to potentially find your next yoga teacher. So I hope you enjoy the show. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in a little bit. Bye. Hey friends, looks like my recording didn't start until after I had started talking, so I didn't get to properly introduce my guest. So, to make this right, hi, my name is Tierney. This is the Yoga in Black podcast, and today you are going to meet Kelly Barnes. And I'm super excited to get to know her, for y'all to get to know her as well. She is a yoga instructor out in Charlotte, North Carolina. And again, I keep these introductions brief because I'd rather these words come from you more than anything. So, Kelly, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Who are you? What you do? Give us a little sprinkling.
All right, let's see. So, as you said, I'm born and raised Charlotte, North Carolina. I went to undergrad at UNC Greensboro, and then I applied for grad school, and I wanted to go somewhere different because had only lived in Charlotte, never seen anywhere else. I had my first time on a plane was I was 21 years old, and so I was like, I went to UNCG is like an all white school. So I'm like, let me apply to HBCU. So for grad school, I
Okay.
applied to Howard, and I
Nice.
got in, and so that was great. I met a slew full of girls and just classmates. We had some guys in our class too that I'm still friends to this day, and even three of my really good friends. We got a house, and we're still friends. And so I went to Howard for like 3-4 years, and we'll go back to that. That's when I experienced my first Black yoga instructor, which I'll talk about that story later.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
yes, became an occupational therapist and started travel OT. And I always did yoga. I always consider myself an athlete. I was in did sports in undergrad. I mean, in high school, then in undergrad, and then even like as adults, we found like leagues to play in, and I started running. And yoga would be something I did as like a recovery.
Yeah.
Like, let me run like on Sunday or Saturday. Let me stretch. But I never really thought nothing of it. I never learned where it came from, philosophy, whatever. When I became an occupational therapist, I worked with kids as well, and I started doing kids yoga with them. It like works on
Nice.
balance and coordination, and it just kind of goes hand in hand with OT. I always wanted to be a yoga teacher training, but the cost was always crazy, and I just never had like the time or really the funds. So I was just like, I'm just gonna do what I can when I can,
Preach to the
and
choir.
right. And then COVID hit. Everybody was having all these specials, sprinkle. So I was like, ooh, let me hop on. And so like right before COVID, I did do prenatal yoga. I got teacher training for that. But then during COVID was when I did my actual 200 yoga teacher training. And then I also was a part, I don't know if you heard of Rocket Yoga. I got trained in Rocket. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I was in that. Yeah.
oh yeah, the with the black people, with all the black
Yeah.
people. So
Yeah.
that was a great experience. Like, oh my god, like some days I like have I miss it and like wish we could go back. Like,
I know.
as you know, that was like one of the world's largest yoga training with black people
Crazy.
all over the world. And
Literally the world.
yes, and that was the first time I had never heard of Rocket before then. But I just
Oh
when people
man.
brand so the guy who I saw in DC, he was my first yoga teacher, Brandon. So Brandon was the one, he
Yeah.
was advertising it with the other three yoga instructors. I'm like, well, shoot, let me hop on this. So then I was open to the world of Rocket. So that was great. And then I was able to get my actual kids yoga certification. And so
Nice.
from there, it's just been like kind of an extension of me when it comes to OT. But now I've been trying to like, I've been venturing out and doing even more things like from like kids, and I go to the schools and do family yoga, and
Mhm.
it's I really love that's a lot of Black families, and so it's nice
Right.
to get them to come out, and it's like after school, and they're encouraging the parents to come with their kids, and I talk about yoga and meditation, so I do that, and then I do prenatal yoga, like I said, I do baby me yoga, and
Yeah.
also adult yoga with beginners. But I've really been into the lately after having my daughter, I've been into the maternal world. So a lot of like lately the baby me yoga and the prenatal yoga is really like been focused. I do a parents' night out monthly with where parents can drop their kids off for 3 hours. I feed them. We do yoga games, and that's been really fun. And I would love to do more, but just it's like not enough time in the day seems like.
Girl, you already doing the
But
Lord's work
right.
already. Giving people 3 hours of time once a month away from their kids, and their kids are doing something enriching. Hell yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, I guess that's a little bit about me. And then, like I said, when I started teacher yoga training, that's when I guess about 4 years ago, I would say I dove really deep into yoga, and it became like more of a consistency where I'm doing it 2, 3 times a week. And it's not just yoga. I learned about, just the meditation, and I learned about
Yeah.
the philosophy and the sutras. And it was just nice, eye opening. So I'm like, oh, yeah, yoga's more than X, Y, and Z. And so
Mhm.
it just became kind of like a safe haven too, because when COVID hit, and then like I said, I had my daughter, and it's like certain times it's like that's like my me time to
Yeah.
reset and to have like some self care. Like, let me get on my mat. I ain't been on my mat today.
You need it. You need it. And you said your daughter's still
She's
toddlers.
1.5.
Yeah, 1.5. Goodness. That's barely toddler.
Yes, she'll be 2 in
Goodness.
July.
Big birthday coming up. Oh my goodness. That is
Crazy.
wild. I there was and see, the rocket yoga training, because I wanted to go back to that.
Mhm.
I feel like I was like, I know I connected with a shit ton of people through that. But you kind of brought the magnitude of it back to me, because I forgot how big it was.
Mhm.
And I'm like, how come I don't recognize her?
So many
There was too
people.
many people.
Right.
Oh
And
my
then and then they
god.
had like so many sessions, and you just kind of got in where you could fit in. Like, like
Right.
I was juggling it throughout work, and I was lucky to be able to get on a lot of the sessions because it was COVID, and like my work was still trying to figure things out, and like I would
Right.
get called out of work because like I work at a hospital too. I help, and I'm
Mm,
considered PRN, which is extra. So like
okay.
with COVID, they didn't want to bring in like the extra coworkers because they didn't know who was carrying what, and
Right.
so it sucked because I was missing out on some money, but then I was available to do some of the rocket sessions. So I was like, oh, all right, well, I guess I'll be doing some yoga today.
Look, bam, right there.
So,
Yeah, I was in a I don't even know if I wanna call it fortunate. It allowed me to have time, but I had just resigned from my, job, with
hmm
a third party logistics company, like, October of 2019, and I was
mm,
teaching yoga full time up until just about last January?
hmm
Yeah. So
oh,
when
wow.
all of that went down with COVID, I had all this time now, because everywhere I was teaching closed, and we did as
hmm
much virtual as we could. But that training came along. I'm like, I need something to fill my time, because I'm losing my shit.
Right.
And man, it
Right.
was
And gyms were closed, like you said, like, and I go to the gym a
yes.
lot. So it's just like, how many, how many at home workouts can you do? Like, before you're like, I just need to talk to somebody else and like
Thank you. Like, yes, I enjoy
interact.
practicing on my own, but it was nice to have so many people to connect with and
hmm
practice with, and or even if you did it on your own time, you could still do it on your own time, whatever the case was. It was y'all, it was a time.
It
It was
was, and
a
seeing so
time.
many brown bodies moving on the screen, and it was nice. Different when the different accents would ask questions, and you'd be like, "Oh my
Yes,
goodness!" Like people are really in Europe, or they're really in Bali, and it's like it's crazy.
everywhere, everywhere. Like, that experience really inspired a lot of this.
hmm
'Cause it all started in the same year too. When I realized, I'm like, there are all these people here. There are plenty of folks that had never done yoga before and decided to join in to this teacher
hmm
training, and then got their YTT from that. But there were even more. people that had already been teaching and doing this supplemental one. And I'm like, how are there all these Black teachers that I didn't know
Mhm.
existed? And I'm like, I don't like that. How can I help? And
Right.
that's where I'm like, let me do this.
Oh,
So I am
yeah.
so glad that we got to connect and have that in common, because I
Yes.
love when I get to see folks from that training, because there's just so many people. I'm like, I
Mhm.
wanted to meet everybody. It's impossible.
Right.
It's impossible. And it was so inspiring.
It
Oh,
was.
I love how when you were explaining pretty much your just trajectory from the professional things into the yoga profession and things, it all seems to join hand in hand. Um, when you mentioned you're doing the occupational therapy with children
Mhm.
and that, kind of tying in, what does that tend to look like with the kids as far as incorporating the yoga into their occupational therapy sessions?
So it depends on, everyone has different needs, but a lot of some of the kids who have more like physical disabilities, or maybe even just, it could still be neurological, like, a lot of kids on the
Yeah.
spectrum and whatnot. And some kids could be sensory seeking and need
Mm,
like a little bit. Sometimes my sessions will do something to get like their sillies out or get their energy out, so maybe we're just doing yoga just for that, and
yeah.
I'm letting them move around and we're practicing different things. And then that way when we actually sit down to focus on whatever skill we're working on, they feel a little bit more calm and whatnot. And then you have lots of kids who need sensory regulation, where it's too loud for them, or something's going on and they don't know quite how to deal with their emotions, and that's why they're lashing out at their parents or at the teacher. And so meditation really comes hand in hand. And like I've learned this, one of my yoga teacher training, peace begins with me, is what I teach my little kids, that like, look, doesn't matter what's going on
Yeah.
outside, peace begins with you. You can take a deep breath anywhere you are. So that helps with the sensory regulation. And then of course with the ones struggling physically with balance, with coordination, it could look like us practicing tree pose. And like there's
Yeah.
like a lot of different like yoga games where I'll teach them certain like poses, and then we'll incorporate it into maybe freeze yoga, where I play the music and then the music stops, you got to freeze in the yoga pose, or
I like
just
that.
like fun different things to make it interactive for them. And in the meantime, they're working on their balance, they're working on their strength, they're working on their concentration and their coordination. And so it's nice that I can take yoga and it can also help them meet their goals.
That's beautiful. And I that really interested me, because I do have a nephew on the spectrum who's in occupational therapy. And I don't know if that's something that they do with him. So I'm like, I would love to try that with him at some
Hmm.
point.
I do
Oh,
yoga with a
that
lot
would
of
be
my kids
fun.
on the spectrum.
Oh yeah, and I like that. I love the freeze thing. That sounds right up a kid's alley.
Yes.
Like, keeping it engaging for them, but also teaching them stillness, like,
Hmm.
in an engaging way. And that's the type of stuff I would love to tap into more, because I've been interested in getting into kids yoga, but
Hmm.
I haven't unlocked like the best ways to approach it. So I really just need to put myself into a training, honestly.
Hmm. But yeah, ain't nothing
Like,
to it but to do it.
exactly. So I want to go. We're taking it back, because you made that mention about your first Black yoga teacher at Howard.
Mhm.
So tell me about that very first experience. Like, was there an experience
So the
before
funny thing,
that?
I was trying to think about it, and there was experience before that because I did yoga before that, but I don't remember my first yoga class, which is kind of crazy. Like I guess it wasn't that memorable, but I don't remember my first yoga class. But I'm pretty sure. I mean, I did yoga in at UNCG, so that was probably my first, which is another reason why I love tapping into kids yoga, and especially people of color, because I feel like we aren't introduced to it. No one introduced me to it when I was a kid, and no
Same.
one I knew in my close vicinity did yoga. And so I think it's really important that they learn at an early age about yoga, because then, I mean, we can produce even better adults that know how to deal with different things. And there's so many tools yoga teaches you, like we talked about, like emotions and calmness and meditation and just looking within and always not looking outward. And I think if you learn that skill sooner, it's so much easier when you have the skills for life to be a little bit easier when you're an adult. So yeah, I didn't do it growing up, but I did do it at UNCG. Again, can't tell you who, but but I do remember like being at Howard and being about 24, 25 years old, and my friend was like, "Do you want to go to this trap yoga class?" I was like, "Trap yoga? What's that?" She's like, "Well, they play trap music and do yoga, I guess." So she had never been either, and I was like, why not? Because like I said, we were athletic. We were doing different things around the city. Like, why don't we go? And then walked in, all these other Black people, and it was some white people too. But it was just nice to see, because that's one thing I do remember too. In my other classes, there was never a lot of people that looked like me in them,
Yeah.
and so it was nice to see a lot more Black bodies. And like you said, it was like the playlist that you might hear at the club. Like it was like but it was yoga. He was like popping like handstands, and I was like, wow. And like and like, but it was just so fun. Like brought us, like calmed us down, got us crunk. We did the yoga, and then brought us back down to relax and to meditate, and just drew me in. And while I was at Howard, we basically would go to his class like as whenever we could. And so that was the first
Nice.
time when I'm like, oh shoot, I saw like a Black person who looks like me teaching yoga, and then lots of other Black people in the yoga class. So that was
Right.
like, I knew like one day I wanted to kind of try to be a yoga teacher, but I didn't know like how that would happen. It just kind of went in the back of my head, like, this is cool. Maybe one day,
Yeah. So then I guess when did it travel from the back to the front?
Probably when I became an OT, and then like I was a travel therapist,
Right.
and
You did mention that.
I would travel to different states. And back when Groupon, I don't know if people use Groupon anymore, but
I
like,
still try to sometimes. I be forgetting about it,
right.
honestly.
I feel like it's not as best deals anymore, but it used to be popping. But
Yeah.
since I was only be at a place maybe my assignments are 13 weeks, but sometimes I get extended. But it wasn't anywhere like that I want to take out a gym membership
Yeah.
and stay until Planet Fitness did the little thing where you can travel. We ended up getting
Oh
Planet Fitness.
yeah.
But before that, they didn't have that feature. And I would just find like yoga classes in the area and get like the 6-week pass or the 10-class pass. And so that's when I would do it when I was traveling. And then I worked in Texas at the children's hospital.
Okay.
And that's when I saw another OT doing yoga with the kids. And so that's when I was like, like I wanted to learn more about it when it came to kids
Yeah.
and teaching. And so I took like some free trainings and whatnot. Like trainings were expensive. So I was like, again, one day. and then
Felt.
um and then like my friend started running and wanted to. I was never like I sprint. I was never like a distance running. One of my friends wanted me to do like 5K with her, 10K, and I'm like,
Can't
sure,
do
why
that.
not? So started training, and then that's when I started doing yoga even more because I was
Nice.
running more, and I would get like sore and stretching. So I was like,
Yeah.
we need some yoga. And then after Brandon, what's say about now, it's like 3 or 4 years later where I'm like, now I'm doing more yoga more often. I'm seeing more people use yoga. I'm getting like a different feel for all these different yoga classes. And so I became more interested then, like, okay, I think this is really something that I want to do, and I really want to figure out how to get my teacher training.
Nice. You said it was Brandon, right? That
Yes.
was okay.
Mhm.
That's I figured so. As soon as you said North Carolina, I'm like, it's gotta be Brandon.
Well,
Or no, I'm
he's
sorry, in
DC,
Howard. When you said
yeah,
Howard,
Howard, yeah,
yeah, and I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, that's gotta be Brandon. Cause and this, especially if he was your introduction to Rocket, like, yeah, I was Brandon.
Yeah. Yes, so
That
we
was
still keep in touch.
definitely
When I'm in
Brandon.
DC, I'll see if he's having a class or
Nice.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. I always loved his little tutorials with his little one. Those are so cute. Oh my goodness. I can't
Yes.
remember what he used to call pose of the day.
Yes, pose of the day.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
pose of
gonna
the
steal
day.
that once she starts being able to do more stuff. I'm like, Brandon, me and my daughter about to do pose of the day.
Man, it's so cute, but I love that he was able to figure out how to incorporate his kids into it,
Hmm.
so that's, building their knowledge about it, and also, creating some type of thing that they can bond over. So, and that's
Hmm.
kind of what I wanted to kind of dive into with you talking about prenatal and mommy and me. Um, I guess, where was that inspiration all from, you becoming a mother?
So I dove deeper, but before that, I actually did prenatal before I was pregnant. So with occupational therapy, that's another thing, a reason why I love the field
Mm,
too, because it is very expansive and people are dipping and diving in all types of different directions. And so I don't know. I'd say, well, I think probably 3 or 4 years ago, I started getting more interested in, like I said, before I became a mom, maternal health and like pelvic health and pelvic therapy. And a lot of people think it's just physical therapists who do it, but occupational therapy can do it as well. And so one of my friends was telling me about it. It just seemed very interesting. And um, when it comes to pelvic health, you're teaching moms about, how to breathe
mhm.
and how to connect their core and their breath to their pelvic area, and it's very also kind of yoga X as well. And
Yeah.
so then when I did my prenatal yoga training, I was hearing a lot of women talk about how, like, we have all these visits with your doctor before you have the baby. Then you have the baby, you have one visit, and they're like, oh, yeah, go back to exercising, go back to doing whatever you want. And there's like
Yeah.
no follow up. There's like no care about like mom, like mental health. There's no like deep dive if she's really okay to go back to exercising. And there's like not a lot of professionals that in the space, depending on where you are, that can help. So
Yeah.
then I became pregnant. So that's when I was interested in there. I got my prenatal and I became pregnant. And like I said, I'm one who exercises and stuff. And people will be in my DMs like, should you be doing that? And I'm like, excuse me, are you my
Mind your
doctor?
business.
Are you
Mind
my
your
midwife?
business.
Like, I was doing my yoga, I was running. Like, I may pop up on a headstand, and inversions actually help the baby get head down. But anyway,
I did not know that. That is
yes.
amazing.
And so
Huh.
it was just really interesting, like people's view on exercise in general with pregnant bodies. And
Yeah.
so then I became even more interested, like, okay, we need to change this. And then and then everything that happens with women, it's like I feel like even worse for black women, like or people of color. Like there's not that many people of color doing yoga, not many people of color doing prenatal yoga, or and a lot of women think that because they're pregnant they should stop doing certain things or they shouldn't do
Yeah.
certain things when you indeed should and should do it even more because it will help with like your labor and delivery. And so that's when I kind of like got into it because with OT, there's like this no new not even new, but it's becoming more worldwide that people are talking about it more and more OTs are
Nice.
getting into it as like maternal health and like even birth OTs helping like in the birthplace, like when
Okay.
it comes to like and also like with kids and ergonomics and certain postures when you're holding your babies, like there's
Yeah.
lactation, OTs and lactation. And
Oh, that
so
all makes
again,
sense.
right, another way where OT can go hand in hand with yoga. So I was just like, I'm also a pre and post exercise specialist. I did
Okay.
that little training, and so right,
Rack them up. Yes.
girl. And so basically, I'm trying to be in this space where I can help someone before they even like before they're getting pregnant, but help them throughout their pregnancy when it comes to like safe exercises and yoga moves they can use. Show them how they should be moving, shouldn't be moving to protect their core, protect their back to the point
Yeah.
when they have the baby. Talking about like good breathing techniques, what to use, imagery, like of course positions of prenatal. We'll talk about all types of positions they can go into, advocacy, and to the point where they have the baby. Okay, now how should you hold the baby? How are you gonna baby carriers? What are the right ways to wear these baby carriers?
Right.
like, now what exercise should I be doing? What should I be doing with my pelvic floor? How should I be moving? And all this stuff. So it was perfect timing too, because then I had my daughter, so she went through all this with me. Like I taught my regular yoga classes in prenatal while pregnant, and then had her. I went to some baby me yoga classes as a student because I wanted to. I didn't want to. I wanted to enjoy the mom, being the mom too. And then
Yeah.
once she was like maybe 6 months, I started teaching, and she was my little model. And so like, so I did baby me with my baby, and to the point where she was walking, and it was like, it's too much. You gotta stay at home now. Because now I'm having to chase you, and I can't like
Right?
teach and chase you. And so, but it was like I did miss her. I'm like, oh, and so,
Yeah.
but it was like really nice because like I got to, and not saying you can't, because I know some people before I had a baby, you have like imposter syndrome sometimes. Like, should I be teaching? Because I don't know.
Yeah.
But and of course you can, anybody can. But I do
Exactly.
love the fact that I did, and I could actually speak to it. I know how different things felt, and I just knew. I feel like emotionally and mentally, I knew how important it was for uh not just moms but birthing bodies to have this space where they can come for themselves, bring the baby, because sometimes you ain't got nobody to watch the baby,
That
and
part.
move and think and just breathe in a space. And it became to be like, yeah, this is what I'm really enjoy, and I'm gonna keep doing it and keep trying to bring more people of color to it, because I feel like it's definitely a need.
Oh my goodness. Like, I'm speechless right now because that's so necessary. Everything that you just talked about is so necessary. And I don't have any kids and I don't plan to, but it's not like I haven't thought of these types of things. And
Hmm.
just a lot of what you just mentioned, I never would have thought of.
Hmm.
Like, as a first time, as a second time, as a third, like I wouldn't have really thought about these things of what can I do throughout the all these different cycles of the pregnancy, the basics of how to hold the baby properly, all these things. Like, we're never taught these things,
Hmm.
but it should be something done, especially, well, I guess I don't know, maybe that is what I'm doing, is I'm putting that responsibility on the OBGYN, but that's their specialty, is getting the baby out safely. I don't know
Well,
if
they
they
should
really.
also have the correct information to refer people
Yeah.
out. And sometimes like they just are like I said, you go to your 6 week appointment, they say, "Are you ready?" And they haven't done, like, they really haven't done no extensive testing. They need to be referring people to a pelvic floor therapist to be like, maybe you can, I don't know, like, and like they're not asking. You don't know if this mom or this person was
Right.
doing high interval training, or doing like, if they was running 6 miles, or if they was just walking or doing yoga, and you just telling everybody at 6 weeks, go ahead, go back to whatever you was doing.
Exactly. Exactly. Because in my mind, like, this is probably a terrible show to reference, but in my mind, it's always this thing that you remember the show House.
Yes.
How he'd always say that patients lie. And like
Hmm.
that same thing could be happening, is like you could have somebody where you ask, do you or exercise regularly? And this patient's like, I'm not trying to upset my doctor, make them have them thinking of, any less of me. So I'm gonna say, yes, I do exercise regularly. This is part of my
Hmm.
daily routine. They go do something that was not part of your regular routine. And now you've got yourself in a situation where you might have hurt yourself or your baby or something. Like,
Hmm.
I love, like, yes, so much more of that is needed. Like, I'm over here like, when is she going to take this across the country? Like, like, seriously, that stuff is so needed. And I would have never thought to have gone to a physical therapist or an occupational therapist for
Hmm.
pre or postnatal anything. It's not something I would have thought of. So,
Right, and a lot of moms don't, and a lot of moms, it takes them some years. Like they
yeah,
think about like pelvic floor, like, and sometimes doctors will be like, "Oh, that like peed on yourself. Oh, that's normal." It's not normal, and there's something you can be. It can be done with it. If you see the right people, we can help you have exercises, and we can fix it. Like, so it's like it's never too late either. Like I've had clients that have had, they're like, their or their child is like 5 years old, and
yeah,
we can still work on their pelvic floor muscles, you
exactly.
know So, but it's
Ooh,
just sad though, because if more doctors would educate and more people would know about the service from PTs and OTs, then we could fix it a lot sooner, and they don't have to deal with like pelvic pain
yes.
and incontinence and all this stuff. So it's like a whole world. So it's like
So
opening up, and
much.
I feel like it's getting better, and more people are learning about it. And so I'm there to be a vessel to like help, because I'm not, my certification is not done all the way, but I'm almost there, and so
Good.
I'm excited. And I that's another thing I throw into my prenatal a lot. My prenatal and postnatal is references to the pelvic floor and giving exercises they can do and things that maybe they shouldn't be doing, and just trying to help um, bridge the gap if they can't go see somebody yet, or they don't feel comfortable. At least they have a little bit of reference of some things they can do, at home by themselves.
Yeah. You need to, yeah, put this out there to everybody because, like, I've noticed that the doula community has grown quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This needs to happen too. Like, because especially for Black women and Black birthers, like, the way that the medical system treats us,
Girl.
shit like that's necessary. So I am in complete awe and commend you 1,000 times and am grateful 1,000 times. I may never use anything like that, but it warms my heart to know that there are folks out there like you that are out here doing this type of thing, because that's some necessary shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh,
And now
thank
you
you.
know, if you have friends or aunts and aunties, like, did you
Absolutely.
go did you go see a pelvic therapist?
Man, well, because you know what's funny is, like, so many people do know about prenatal yoga now,
Mm-hmm.
but it's been something that they don't think about until they become pregnant. And
Mm-hmm.
folks are just like, well, I know a yoga teacher, so they might know prenatal. Like, no, because I've
Right.
had
Don't always
several
work
people
like
ask
that.
me exactly, like, what can I do through my pregnancy? I'm like, I know like some basic things to just make sure that I keep, the folks that come into my, practice spaces as safe as possible,
Mm-hmm.
throughout their practice, if they're pregnant. But when it comes to specifics, I'm not your girl, but there are folks out there. But oh man, I wish this was something you had, approached prior to the baby being
Right.
in existence. It's like, ooh, there needs to be so much more knowledge about it. Man, ooh, I am
Mm-hmm.
excited for where you're going with all of this. When are you done with which training did you say you're in?
Pelvic floor.
When are you done with that one?
It's gonna be this summer. It's a
Okay.
lot.
I,
It's a lot.
there's a lot going on in the pelvis.
Yes.
Like,
But I'm
I've
super
done,
excited. In May, the first weekend in May, I'm going to a pelvic floor retreat. It's actually interesting. So it's like a retreat where we get to do yoga and get to relax, and there's a jacuzzi in the mountains. But then it's also some pelvic for people who are as OTs. So it's
yeah.
made by OTs, which I love because, like I said, the field has been kind of been dominated by physical therapists, and now OTs are like, "Hey, we here too." Like there's nothing more occupational and ADL than like sex, pee, and poop, and
You
birth. So
know,
it's like
you
so it's like we should
know.
be in this space. And so like it's cool because there's a lot of some newbies like me, but then a lot of people who are have been doing it for a while and have businesses, and so they're going to be mentoring and showing different things, and so it's cool because it's like a work slash play. So it's like we get to relax and do yoga and enjoy a jacuzzi, but then we also get to have like little workshops and ask questions and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to that. Mhm.
That is so dope. I oh, I love learning things and, like,
Yes.
taking a whole retreat just to focus on the pelvic floor. God, y'all about to be some beasts. Y'all about to be some beasts. I'm just I'm just so I really don't have words because you've completely knocked them out of me with everything that you've just said. It's just it breaks my heart to know that there's such a disservice going on to those that, are capable of giving birth and could be helped so much with stuff like this. I can't stress it enough. Ooh, let me not get emotional. Let me not get emotional, but that is just super inspiring. I look forward to seeing all of this stuff coming from you. And anytime you have anything going on, please share it with me so I can share it to everybody.
Yes.
That's wow. Wow.
Yeah, I've been thinking
Oh.
about, so like you said, when COVID happened, I did a lot of virtual because that's all we could do.
Mhm.
But I'm back in the studio and I'm doing prenatal, and a lot of people have been like reaching out to me like, "Are you gonna do virtual?" And the gym I'm with, they're trying to they're in it's a long process. They're trying to get a platform so that all the classes can be virtual. So I've been
Nice.
kind of like waiting on them, and in the meantime, I'm like, maybe I should just go ahead and do it because it's been like a while. I keep getting requests. So I'm like, I maybe just need to start back my prenatal and stuff like
You
back up.
know,
And yeah, me and my
if the call is coming, you better
I
may as well
know, right?
answer. May as
And
well
me and
answer.
my friend, one of my colleagues, we actually had did some workshops during COVID, and we're like, maybe we should bring those back too. And basically, it was like a yoga and OT workshop where we talk about we dive deep and give them like a review of like anatomy and
Nice.
tell them all about what's going on in their body when the baby is being born and when you're cooking the baby. And so it's kind of cool. Each session would have like a focus and we would talk about something and then we would end it with like yoga. So I'm like, we've been thinking about maybe we should do that again, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That would be so dope. I know I is prenatal something that you prefer to offer like regularly, or is it something that you do kind of more seasonal? Because I know that there have been like studios that get these requests for prenatal classes, but they're either very, very popular and, attended pretty regularly, or it's like once
Mm-hmm.
the baby comes, it's like, all right, no more people to, serve anymore until a new group of, pregnant folks are
Mm-hmm.
ready, but you never really know when. How do you juggle kind of filling those needs when it
So
comes?
it is tough. So I do. It's kind of weird to say, but I work at like a black owned studio, and we do prenatal. Yep, we do. We does everything. Curtis, shout out
Yes.
to Curtis. YVY Gym, you versus yourself in Charlotte.
Hey,
Like,
hey, hey.
we got boot camp, we got Pilates, we got cardio dance, personal training, group training, and so when we do, but it's so busy there, and the classes. It's been like I said, it is a little bit harder to get those brown and black people out, and then the ones who are doing yoga sometimes already have their studio. They already have like their where they're going because this studio we it was a year last year. He made a year,
Mhm.
um, so it's rather on the newer side. So we're trying to
Yeah.
gain more clientele, and then so it is a little bit hard to get us to do yoga and then to get pregnant people to get you to do yoga and then just to know that we're there. So I've been kind of doing like every other Saturdays
Nice.
and so that's been working. And then with my baby and me, I do like a series. So like with baby and
Okay.
me, it'll be like a 4 to 5 week series and it happens
Yeah.
we try to do it if it's not monthly. It's not. It's like if I do like I just did one and ended, and it was January and February,
Okay.
and one day in March, and so then I'll probably start the next one, and it'll be April and May. So it's like 2 or 3 weeks in between to give the marketing and advertising to be like, hey, we got another class coming up, sign up. And it seems to like when we do the series seem to do well. The every other Saturday, it's like hit or miss. Sometimes, like you
Mhm.
said, it's like people hear about it, people come, and then I'll have my good group of moms, and they all might be at different points, but for the most part, they're coming at the same time. We have a good class, then they all have their babies, and then we're like, all right, need some more people, and so
Right.
like. So then it takes like sometimes it's like a 2 or 3 weeks or sometimes a month to be like get the word out again, gather some new
Yeah.
moms, gather some new people, birthing bodies, and then we're good to go again. So it is sometimes it is like um hard in the lulls and when like people have their babies and but then it's like cool too because it's like okay now you've had your baby and you know
Yeah,
7 8
transitioning into the
weeks y'all can
next.
start
Yeah,
baby me and so now I can come to
exactly.
baby me so
I love that.
Mhm.
No, that makes sense because I always wondered how that would work to try to offer it something regularly because I mean, there's always going to be somebody expecting,
Mhm.
but it's just a matter of are they seeking out yoga and when and at what point of their pregnancy is it? So,
And then
yeah.
it's like one of those things too. Is just like I mean, just as any yoga teacher experiences, sometimes you have one person or two people, and sometimes you have 10 to 15, and so it's just like you just expect it and you go with it, and you still give that one or two people your best class, and
No.
you hope they tell some other people, and then next time you have more.
Yeah, it's like come January, your class is full, and then by July, I don't know what happened.
Right? You're like, where's all those people?
Because once summer hits, everybody is gone.
Everybody out. Everybody like, what? I got my summer body. Now I'm about to go show off.
Everybody's on
Yes,
vacation,
vacation.
doing all this and taking their time. I mean, I don't blame them. I would do the same thing. I would do the
Mhm.
absolute same thing. But I'm also like, I need routine. And if I deviate from that routine, you know.
Right.
That's all I'm gonna
Yes.
say is just no.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness, we have spent so much time talking about prenatal, and I am so glad we did because I think you're the one of the first to have the occupational therapy lens on it, and
Mhm.
I'm like again, major applause to you, and I'm
Thank you.
super excited with what you've got going on. But I want to talk about your I don't want to say regular classes, the non child centered yoga. There we go. What's that experience like? If I were coming into your class, what would that feel like for me?
So I would lately I've been doing a lot of like themed classes too. So depending on whatever my theme is, what I'll be playing that playlist or that music got going on. And sorry, like we I might have to go to another room. I feel her my daughter.
I get it. I get it completely. I get it completely. There's only a
But
certain amount of time that both kids and sometimes pets will allow you to have to yourself.
right. But very welcoming and very like easygoing. I do hatha yoga
Nice.
usually. Um and every now and then I may do some rocket, but a lot of my a lot of the people I have in my class, they're like they want it a little bit more chill. They're not doing all those poses and and so
A lot.
like
Rocket is a
yeah.
lot.
Now, I do take some of my sequences from rocket though and just kind of like
Oh,
slow it down.
all the time. All the time. Like, I essentially tell people, like, my classes are essentially rocket yoga, but with a really big, strong remix. Like,
Right.
or is it chopped and screwed and slowed?
There you go. And so depending on if it's like regulars or where I'm at, we may do a little bit longer of like a meditation because I feel like a lot of people don't really sit in their body and breathe. And
They
so like
don't.
we may spend more time of like just this is what this feels like and just like, maybe setting up some imagery or whatnot and just getting them breathing. Like
Yeah.
and like
Exactly.
focusing on their breath and slowing down and then just easing into doing some floor stuff and then getting up standing and then bring them back to the floor and then again getting them to focus on themselves and inward and try not to think about anything, which is hard when you tell them. He's like, you don't want to tell somebody that because then they're like, well, now I'm thinking about something. So it's like,
You
but
planted the seed, so now it's
right.
there.
But just trying to relax them and really be like, this is the best part. Especially like I teach a lot of beginners. And
Yeah.
so one thing I've been trying to get out of, which is hard, is I do demo a lot. Cause like, you know,
Well, and it happens
and
when you do
so
teach a lot of beginners is that they have that tendency to look around, and in my mind, I'm like, I'd rather you look up front than
mm-hmm.
look around because that I don't know that focal point is better.
Right.
facing forward rather than
Mhm.
what are they doing over there? Oh, that's the pose. Okay, now I'm in it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't like I feel you. I'm right there with
So
you.
I know, like, I know a lot of teach, like, when you're in teacher training, they're like, you can't teach from your mat. I'm like, well, I do a very good job of it, you know.
Well,
I
there's
do
a
walk around. I'm
method.
not there the whole time,
Right. There's a
but
method to it. And not to mention, like, this was something that I really struggled with through the pandemic is learning, or at least relearning, how to teach from my mat because that's all you
Mhm.
could do in the virtual space.
Right.
Or
Mhm.
in person, but also being recorded. So I'm like, well, I can't waltz around the room anymore. So I'm
Right.
still having to like stay in the
Mhm.
front. So there's there's benefits to it. So
Yeah.
that's why I had to get in that same thing where I'm like, it's in my head to don't stay on your mat, don't stay on your mat, don't stay on your mat.
Mhm.
And now I'm like, well, at least you got to stay close to the front because people are kind of looking towards
Right.
you for
Mhm.
guidance because you're the teacher.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I will say too, of teaching, learning, doing a lot of virtual, and like just, I feel like yoga and everyone I think is becoming more like aware of like terms and asking for permission and stuff like that. So I feel like I've gotten really good at, like, I don't adjust people a lot. I've gotten really good, like, because it's like, I don't know if you want me to touch you, and I'm not, like, it's just a lot asking questions in the middle of yoga. So I feel like I've gotten really good at cueing to bodies that may
Yes.
not be in the correct alignment. And then I'm also, because I teach prenatal so much, I kind of bring it to my adult beginners classes because not everybody's body's going to look the same and it's not going to feel the same. So
At all.
if it's okay if yours doesn't look like the one to the left, and it's okay, like, so I'm gonna cue them if like it doesn't look anything like the pose, But like, but if their legs are a little bit too wide or too short, I'm like, and that's how it's comfortable to them. I'm not gonna like go
Yeah.
and move them out of it. So my class is very like relaxed, and like I just want you to get used to and feel comfortable because some people are scared and embarrassed of yoga. So I just want them to get comfortable being on their mat, doing the poses, because it can be hard. Like beginners, like they're like, this yoga is hard. Like,
I
so,
was right there with them. I thought the same thing. Like, damn, this is hard. I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
right. And so, and they don't need, and that's gonna, I feel like that would deter me if I'm trying something new and every time I'm doing something, somebody like, nah, that's not it. Like, no, do this,
Yeah.
no, do this. So I'm just like, I try not to be as picky until like, they've been coming a couple more times and maybe they'll ask for it and they'll be like, oh, can you adjust me or can you tell me if I'm doing X, Y, and Z? Then I'm like, of course. But like for them first
Absolutely.
one or two classes, I'm kind of just getting them used to the meditation part, doing the actual poses, getting used to like, oh, this is what triangle looks like. This is what a sun
Yeah.
salutation is. And this is Shavasana, your favorite part of the class. So, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, there's also that getting used to the putting yourself in a vulnerable position
Yep.
aspect of it too, because I think
Mhm.
that's a big thing that keeps people from coming to public classes is like, oh, I'm gonna look crazy. Like,
Mhm.
don't nobody care, but I know it's in your mind. So now it's like something that you're constantly kind of, thinking about or putting
Right.
into yourself. So getting used to, I can do this, I can move and breathe and be in my own little corner of this room and not
Mhm.
worry about everybody else, but it's hard not to. So I'm like, get used to it. It's fine.
Yep.
So that's why I'm just like, I stay pretty hands off, especially to like people that are like, this is my first time. I'm like, I'm not touching you at all.
Exactly.
Like,
But you
at
do you,
all.
boo, and just I'm glad you're here.
Exactly. And then for those that I know, like, kind of want to have some
Mhm.
type of adjustment, I have these two or dual colored chips or
Mhm. I've heard people
pogs,
have like
I guess.
cards, like a green card or like a red
Yeah.
card.
Yep.
Mhm.
One side's pink, one side's blue, and there's a smiley face and a little frown. Like, if
Mhm.
you're okay with me being in your space, keep the smiley face up. If you
Right.
don't want me around, go ahead and keep the frowny face. Because, first of all, I'm not going to remember. If we're talking, if we had this conversation, I asked you for consent, I'm not going to remember. And I don't want to forget and be like, oh, snap, I just adjusted them in child's pose when they said they didn't want to be touched.
Right.
I'm
Mhm.
not gonna do that. So I'm right there with you on it. Like, I'd prefer to cue people into the experience than physically put them into it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, I love talking about yoga so much.
Yes. You're in the right space. Your yoga
Oh my
podcast.
God.
You,
It's have
you're
happened right
calling.
upon it too. And it's so silly because I'm such an introvert. And here I am
Oh
like,
wow, really?
yeah. Yeah. I know it's come up a lot through this season. And because I think I realized it, I'm like, you really are just out here with a podcast talking about
To
the same
strangers
thing
too.
over and over again to strangers. Yes, exactly.
Like
Oh my God. But it's like you guys you blow my mind all the time. So like you saw it firsthand. I didn't even have words after half of our conversation today. I'm like, I don't even know what to say. I am just in awe. I am in complete awe because every one of you is just doing so much amazing work. And I want so many more people to experience that from
hmm
all of you. Cause like, God damn, that like, oh,
Yes, I love it. I love that we
seriously.
are like I think was it Davina was highlighting like
Yeah.
yoga teachers too, and I was like, and a lot of them I knew, a lot of them I didn't, and so I love it when like it's a space like that or the podcast
Yes.
where you get to meet more, even more yoga people, and like in I do the Nike training app sometimes. I don't know,
Okay, yeah.
and I forgot his name, but
Oh,
he was
I feel like I know who you might be talking about.
but I saw him and he was doing like leading a yoga thing. I said, "Oh, that!" I was like so excited to see him. I'm like, we are making it. Is people we're I forgot his name though, but I
Does it start
knew
with a
him from
J?
the training and then
Does it start with a J?
I think so. Like I wonder if I
Jarrell?
could. Yes, Jarrell.
Yes, I
Yes,
love
and I was like, I
Jarrell.
turned on a Nike train. I said, "Oh
Yes,
snap!"
he is so cool. I love him
So
so much.
yeah,
Ugh.
and so it's so cool to see like different things and see us show up in different places and like that's what's up.
Hell yeah. It's a celebration every time I see something like that. 'Cause I'm like, about time. About
Yeah,
time.
need like 10 more of us on there, but anyway.
Exactly. Yes, because like when I got into yoga about 10 years ago and then kind of started noticing that it was, kind of popular on social media, it did not look like how it looks like for me now because
Mhm,
all could see were, white women essentially in
mhm,
all of these different spaces. And I'm like, this is disheartening. I'm like, I'm not gonna
mhm.
stop, but that
Right.
was, big inspiration to become a teacher because I'm like, I don't want to constantly be in spaces where I don't always feel represented or comfortable even because
Mhm,
who knows if they have biases that they're not aware of and that's permeating into their classes. I would
right.
rather be in a space where I feel like I can connect with the person that's leading the space and
Mhm.
where I can feel comfortable that they understand why my lower back doesn't touch the ground because I got a little bit of meat back there, like it's just what it is. Or
Right.
the fact that, my hair might be big today, so I can't necessarily lay down the right way or whatever.
Right.
Like having that shared experience and understanding those things is like those types of nuanced things make a difference in people's experience with it.
Mhm,
So again, like thank you for being in the space. Thank you.
mhm.
Like,
Thank you. You too. And for
oh,
doing this podcast, girl.
I'm not gonna stop. Oh my goodness. Has it already been 52 minutes? God damn.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Right? It's like I'm like, we can keep going. But no, I don't want to keep you from your kiddo. So I ask everyone this because even though a lot of times what happens throughout the show, y'all be dropping gems, like just amazing advice, amazing like tidbits of information for people. But I would love to give you pointed opportunities to share just specific advice. So the question I always ask is, what advice would you give to people that are brand new to yoga, haven't started yet, or still kind of like on the fence, maybe attended a class or two, didn't really like
Mhm.
it, and are like, I don't know. What advice would you give to them to get them into it?
So first I would say, which I didn't like again until I started studying yoga and doing my Groupon hopper, I didn't realize there are so many different types of yoga. So you might have tried one type that you don't like, and there may be a different type that you like. And also, there's so many different yoga teachers, and not every yoga teacher is for you. And so, yep, I would say, I mean, if you don't feel comfortable trying a class yet, maybe you can get comfortable YouTubing some different people, try
Yeah.
different styles and different teachers, and kind of see what you like there. And you might I know some people feel a little bit more comfortable without eyes on them, so maybe you get some
Yeah.
practice at home, but then like you start looking up classes near you and start going, and maybe get a friend to go with you. Maybe you feel a little bit better if you have somebody to go with you, and then
Mm.
just keep trying. Like if you go to a class and it didn't seem like, you're like, nah, that one for me. And maybe you can point out what it was. Maybe it's the teacher, or maybe it was like too slow for you, or maybe it was too fast for you. Just try again. My thing is like, at least try 2 or 3 times before you like write
Yeah.
it off. And again, and just know that every style is different, and every teacher may not be for you. So it's like, don't write off yoga as a whole from one like not so great experience.
That makes perfect sense. And that sounds like some stuff that I've said before too. Is like, I might not be your teacher. And I'm not mad
Mhm.
at that. I
Mhm.
know. I'm an acquired taste just like anybody else.
Mhm.
Find
Mhm.
the person you like and find
Yep.
the style you like.
Yes,
Just
and it's like, if you want something like really slow, you need to do some yin yoga, do
that's what
some
I do.
gentle, some slow stretching yoga. Some people don't even know, have never even heard of yin yoga. So it's like, just research and find what you think is going to match what you're looking for.
Yes. Ooh, sage advice. This is a two-part question. So same question, except for people that have been practicing for a while but are feeling like they're being called to teach. What advice would you give to them?
Do it. I mean, like,
That's
we
perfect.
right. I mean, and like you just said, speaking to the teachers, a lot of times you could feel like, oh, there's so many yoga teachers. Oh, I don't, we don't need another yoga teacher. There
Yes,
are
we
so
do.
many different personalities, and just like every teacher isn't for you. Like there may be a student that's waiting for you to become a yoga teacher. Like you never know. Like
Yeah.
I feel like there's a student for every teacher and a teacher for every student. And so it's like, and your style isn't going to be the same as someone else's. So it's
Mm.
like, and you never know what lens you can bring to yoga. And so I would just look into it and start researching it and do it.
Ooh, yes. Like, don't stress yourself over it. Like,
Mm-mm.
yes, because like you mentioned before, it's expensive,
Yeah.
but where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
And
And now a lot of places have like scholarships, and so you can look
exactly,
into that. And some people do payment plans. Like now they be like,
that payment plan was
6 months. So
clutch.
right.
If it wasn't for that payment plan, I don't know if I would have been able to make
Right. So it's
it.
like you can make it work.
Man. Ah,
So
yes, just do it.
I mean, life's all about that, right? Like, you feel like you
Yeah.
want to do something, you should just try to do it. You don't want to regret it, or you don't want time. You can't get time back. You don't want all this time to pass and be like, dang, I should have did this 3 years ago when I thought about it, 5 years ago when I thought about it. Like,
God, you
do it
preaching
now.
today. You
Hmm.
preaching today. Yes. Oh, I am with all of that. Like,
Especially
Kelly,
if you're brown or black, because we need more of you.
say that 5 more times. Say that 5 more times.
Yeah, so it's like anybody should do it, but we do need more people of color because it's
Yes.
important.
Like, do you know how many places in this country are experiencing their first Black teacher in a space or their first Black owned studio in the
Mm,
city or whatever? It's still happening. It's
right.
2024. Like, take up that space.
And some people still haven't been to a class with a black teacher, so
That
there's
part.
still room. There's lots of room for all of us to eat.
Thank you. There's a big old table and there's a lot of
Yes.
empty chairs. Go ahead and fill them up.
Exactly.
Fill them up. Ooh, girl. I'm just, I'm hot now. Like this. This is too good. This is too good.
Yes, I love
I
it.
am so sad that it's coming to an end. So the fact that we are wrapping up, I don't want folks to wrap up with you. Tell us where the folks can find you.
Well, of course, you can follow me on Instagram at Flow with Kels. Have a website, and we just talked about being virtual. I think I might be bringing back my prenatal virtual classes. And
Yes.
if you're in the Charlotte area, I teach at YVY Gym, and I teach at we actually are my prenatal. A lot of my other prenatal stuff is at Jazzercise. But
Nice. Okay.
again, if you follow me, I always update when I'm having classes, and sometimes actually with the weather getting warm, I'm about to start yoga in the park, and those classes are free and donation based. Well, they're donation based just because I wanted to be accessible to all. So
Yes.
again, follow my Instagram and you'll know what park I'll be at and when.
Kelly, I think I love you. Keep shining as brightly as you are. Like the glow coming off of you is intense. And don't ever let that dim. Don't let
Oh,
nobody
thank
take that from you
y'all.
because you have something special going on. And again, cannot thank you enough for the space that you take up. Keep doing that. Keep
And
doing that. Keep
thank you for
inspiring
allowing me and
everybody.
inviting me into this space.
Oh,
I
of
love this
course.
conversation. I love like you said, I love talking about yoga and OT. So it's like
Look, and I'm a big nerd for just anything, like anything new that I don't know. I'm like, tell me more, like,
right.
please. So yes, I am absolutely happy to let you spill all the beans. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Do you have any events or anything coming up that you need to plug?
Um, so I'm on the Black Kids Do Yoga tour with
Okay.
this yes,
Oh
she's
yeah.
coming from Houston and she's going to be stopping in Charlotte on, let me make sure, June. Doo, doo, doo. That is June 15th.
Oh
So
my
if you have any
gosh.
kids, we're doing a great event for the kiddos. It's like a 2 or 3 hour event. It's gonna be like yoga, games, some food, and then also YVY is having its second year anniversary June 29th. So I think
Big
the whole last
day.
week of June, we'll be doing a lot of stuff with the gym, free classes, and so that'll be fun.
Oh, that's
Yes.
exciting. Y'all, hit her up. Hit her up.
Yes. And then
Come
again,
from the
follow
house.
me because a new baby and me and prenatal series is starting. So
Oh, goodness. Well, I am wishing you the best in all of your future endeavors, and we'll stay in touch. Absolutely, because
yes.
everything you're doing is so needed, and I want to make sure that we have you as exalted as possible, so that your voice can be heard around the world and people can learn these things because it's valuable. It's
Yes, I
super
appreciate
valuable.
that. Yes.
Uh, well, folks, our time is up, and I don't like it, but it's just what we have to do sometimes, and I'm sorry. But thank you so much for tuning in, Kelly. Thank you for your time. I truly appreciate it. Y'all, we got episodes every Tuesday. We only have one more left though after this one though.
Oh.
So like we'll be back. We'll always be back. But make sure you tune in, watch all our other episodes, listen to them, however you do this. I don't know. But whatever you do, subscribe and all that stuff. I love y'all. Kelly, I love you. Thank you so much. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Mama stay.
Hey. Thanks for tuning in to the Yoga in Black podcast. I would love to get your feedback. So if you'd like to see more of the show, please leave us a comment or a rating on whichever platform you're listening or watching from today. Of course, that's right after you subscribe to wherever it is that you're listening or watching from. Our season finale episode is with Tamika Chambers, and I'm pretty sure fate brought us together. You will leave inspired. Be sure to follow us on social media. Find us on Instagram at yoga.inblack, Facebook, Yoga in Black, and TikTok at yoga.in.black. Also, head to our website, www.yogainblack.net, for all of your YIB needs. And if you'd like to be on the show, head to that same website, fill out our waitlist form on the website, and click on Let's Talk from the menu to fill it all out. Thank you so much for all of your support.